Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today, our guest is Tom, the CEO and co-founder at Jebbit. Hello.
Nice to meet you. Excited to be here.
Nice to see you. Please tell us what your company does.
Sure. Jebbit is a software company that I started in college about 10 years ago. And it's marketing software that enables marketers to create different types of interactive experiences that enable them to capture data directly from their customers, first party or zero party data. And so the most common example would be a brand uses Jebbit to create a quiz for their website that would match consumers to the right products for them. So let's say I love snowboarding and I have a snowboarding company. I might build a quiz where it's answer 5 questions and we'll match you to the right snowboard for you.
What is a zero-party data?
So zero party data is a term coined by Forrester. From my perspective, it's really just a type of first party data, but it means data that a customer willingly and explicitly gives you with consent. So if I'm sticking with the example of a website that sells snowboards, they would have a lot of first party data of what people click on the website. They would have the first party data, the transactional data of what snowboards and what gear people actually bought. But those forms of data, that behavioral data and that transaction data, are inferred, meaning me as a marketer, I watch you take actions and then I assume things or I infer things about you. Zero party data is an example where you fill out a form or a survey or you do a quiz like I was talking about, and the consumer willingly is answering questions and giving you data like how many times a year you snowboard and who you snowboard with and those types of things.
It makes total sense. So thank you for explaining.
No
What would you
problem.
say is the biggest problem that you solve?
I think there's a couple. I think the first is just if you're a marketer, you're really busy and you don't have a lot of resources. And so being able to quickly spin something up that looks beautiful and looks amazing. One of the things that people always say about their Jebbit quizzes and other content is it looks like I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to an agency to build this from scratch or, paid my engineering team to do it. When in reality, I spent, 30 minutes in the Jebbit platform and it's all drag and drop and it's no code. And so, I think the first big problem is just saving time and money to make amazing interactive content that feels really custom. I think the second big problem we solve is around the data. It's around enabling marketers to understand their consumers better. And there's a lot of changes happening to privacy legislation, and Apple made big changes to their IDFA tracking, and Google's getting rid of third-party cookies. And if you don't need to be a marketing expert or know what those things are that I just said, the main takeaway is that marketers need to get more data directly from their customers. They need to stop buying data from third-party sources for both because it's now becoming illegal and because that's poor quality data. And they need to start running campaigns and creating content to get data themselves.
Well said, well said. What are the best features?
Really the builder. So I mean there's different parts of our platform, but the thing that is really our bread and butter, we've raised close to $100 million in funding over the last 10 years, and where most of that has gone from a product standpoint is in our experience builder, our quiz builder, to be able to create those amazing experiences. And there's so many features it does. There's so many creative features. There's so many like back-end logic features. For example, we can ingest your entire product catalog and then help you automatically set the recommendations. So if I answer these questions, I can match to that product, etc. I won't take you down a whole boring product roadmap conversation, but that experience builder and everything it can do is really the most powerful thing we've built.
Which industries do you currently support?
We support all of them. We have
All of
customers
them.
in every type of vertical. I would say, though, the biggest ones for us would be large consumer packaged good brands, a lot of retail and e-commerce brands, a lot of sports and entertainment, travel, a lot of the like consumer facing brands that are reaching millions of customers are the biggest ones, but we have financial services companies, insurance companies, B2B companies on the platform, auto brands, like it really, healthcare companies, like it really spans a lot of verticals, because at the end of the day, and this is the exciting part for us in building Jebbit, what we're doing isn't specific to one type of vertical. Every
Absolutely.
company, every marketer needs to engage their customers better and get more data from their customers.
Absolutely. And what is the pricing for Jebbit?
Mm. Our pricing scales based on the number of experiences you have live. And we have everything from we do have a free version that's built for an SMB to be able to sign up for. You could be, two people in a garage starting your snowboard company up to we have Fortune 500 brands that spend millions of dollars a year on the platform. So it really scales based on how much content you're going to want to create, what level of features and support you're going to want. But for the first 8 years of the company, we were exclusively focused on large global enterprise brands. So we were a very enterprise company. You had to talk to a sales rep in order to engage us. It was expensive to use the platform. And then it was a couple of years ago, we did launch a simplified version of Jebbit with way less features, and we launched that free version. And we launched it through a partnership or through an app in the Shopify app store. And so since then, we've now had, tens of thousands of small businesses sign up who can use the platform as well.
Are you the biggest player in the market?
In terms of, dollars raised or employee count and things like that, yes. We're all private companies, so I don't have all the data on everyone. But as far as I could tell from just like high level metrics, those public metrics, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there are two ways of starting. As you said, you started with enterprise, the biggest with the pricing. You had to contact a salesperson, and the other would be to go directly into the product, get a free version, and use it. Why
Correct.
did you choose the first one? Or how do you see the difference between those?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously two different questions in there. I mean, why we chose the first one was really a decision we made very early on. I was probably only a year out of college, and we had maybe 100 customers, and let's say 5 of them were big enterprise brands and the other 95 were small. And we just had the very obvious conclusion of, wait, we're spending just as much time on all of them, but the big ones are spending 10 times as much as the smaller ones. Why don't we only focus on the big ones? And then, obviously that strategy worked. We built the business up, we raised a bunch of money, we scaled, but I think I was just coming to this realization maybe 3-4 years ago that the way a lot of software buyers are buying is changing. There's a really awesome podcast with the HubSpot CEO or their original CEO, Brian, and he was just talking about this. And when I heard him talk about it, it just like so hit a chord with me of a lot of the pains we were feeling. Where I literally remember it, we were selling into a large Fortune 500 retailer, and we had our champion who wanted to use Jebbit, and he couldn't convince all the other people internally that they should sign up for this expensive contract with Jebbit. And he called me one day, and he was really excited because he had figured out a plan. Instead of us going through 5 more meetings over the next 5 months to try to convince everyone, he was going to build a not as good version of a Jebbit quiz, but he was going to build a quiz with one of the SMB competitors we had out there that had a free version. And he said, I'm going to use that, I'm going to launch it, and then I'm going to prove to them why running a quiz is so valuable and why we should sign up for Jebbit. And it just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks of like, that's awesome, I'm pumped you're doing that, but wait, now you have to go use a different platform to do it, and we should just have that. And so the interesting thing is that we launched our free version, and of course 98% of the people that sign up work for an SMB because that's just the way the world works. There's way more of them out there than enterprises. But we do get Fortune 500 brands that sign up through the free version, and it is an example like that. It's someone who's not the budget owner, not high enough up in the org, but it's someone who's willing to go learn a platform and get their hands dirty. And so, it's been this really awesome win-win for us where now the platform is available to different sizes of companies, but also we're providing a different buying journey for different people within these Fortune 500 brands, depending on who they are and how they want to get started. And I think there's also just people out there that are very like roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and they just don't want to talk to a sales rep. They would just rather figure it all out themselves, or at least spend 90% of their time doing that, and then they'll spend 10% of their time calling the sales rep with a couple details they want to work out with us.
That's a fantastic story. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
No problem.
How did you come up with the idea for Jebbit?
Well, we're on like the fourth iteration of Jebbit. Jebbit has pivoted multiple times over the years. So, like any entrepreneur, like most entrepreneurs, I'd say you talk to that are 10 years into a journey, it didn't start that way. But I was in college in Boston at the time. I thought I was going to go be a doctor. I was a pre-med major, and our school had a business plan competition where you could pitch an idea and win $10,000. And freshman year, I decided to do that with my roommates who were all in the business school. But I told them if we're going to do this, we have to start a medical device company so that it's related to my what my career path was going to be. So I wasn't actually doing it to try to start the company, for the record. I was just doing it to try to win the money. And of course, none of the judges took us seriously because none of us were doctors and we had no ability to actually build a medical device. But I came back for my second year of college and I said, now I was hooked on trying to win the competition. And so I told them, all right, we don't have to start a medical device. We can start anything. Let's start something people would believe we could start more. And so we started a software company, and the first idea was somewhat related to advertising and marketing, but quite different from what we do today.
Wow. How big is your team right now?
We're about 120 employees.
Okay. And you said you raised in total over 100 million?
Right around 100 million. Yep.
What is your vision for the future?
Right now, it's just continuing to scale what we're doing. So, I mean, kind of related to those pivots I talked about, it took us 6 or 7 years to really find our identity and find our product market fit. The story of our funding is like $3 million raised in the first, 6 years, and then, 95 million raised, or whatever the exact number is, over the last 4. And so it really started to work for us about 4 years ago. And it's been very exciting to no longer be in that just like discovery phase of trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up, and really just be in execution stage. We know we have, the best product out on the market to do what we do. We hear that feedback from our customers all the time, but we're, just scratching the surface, both in terms of the amount of brands that know about us and use us, and the ways that they're using us. And a lot of that is because this market for zero-party data and interactive content is really just coming into focus now for a lot of brands. And a lot of that is related to that privacy legislation we talked about in the Apple and Google changes. Yeah. But so right now we're just really focused on being heads down and making the product better, and working with as many brands as possible, and making sure the current brands that are using us are seeing amazing value and want to do more with us. But that's a really fun place to be.
I understand. And apart from releasing a free version of the product, what has been your best growth tactic for getting new people?
This might sound cliche, but customer referrals. Like, the marketing world is small, and a lot of people talk a lot, and a lot of people leave and go to other companies. And having people that are already on our platform, whether they go to an event with us and they get up on stage and share what they're doing with us and why, or whether they do a webinar or podcast with us, or whether they just write about us on LinkedIn or just tell a friend about us over dinner, like, we get so much business through customer referrals. And to me too, that's like one of the most exciting ways to get it, right? Because someone's calling you already excited to talk to you, and not calling from a skeptical place of, oh, my boss told me to check this out, or I don't know if I want this. And so, we're trying to put a lot of focus into the existing community we have, because it's a lot of amazing brands who are doing really innovative things on the platform.
What has been your biggest challenge since starting the company?
Since starting it?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely all the pivots and trying to figure out what we were going to be when we grew up. Yeah, I mean, it's not fun to be, grinding over 6 years and only have a couple million in funding, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to be. And, during that time period, there were periods where we, shut down the existing product we were working on and went 6 months without revenue until we got the next product up and running and things like that. So, I think keeping the team, for most of that time, our company was probably 10 to 15 employees. We weren't super big during that time. But I think just keeping the team energized and motivated and helping them see the bigger picture, and let alone the actual product work of figuring out what should we build, those days are definitely where the biggest challenges are.
I understand. And I love to hear a story. So more in depth, how you joined college and all that stuff. So
Which part? Like what we were doing?
From the start, yeah.
Yeah, so we started by trying to pay people money to answer a question about an ad they saw, like a video ad. So the original idea for Jebbit came from I was watching a TV show in the airport on my laptop on Hulu, and I had a 30-second ad come up, and my instinctual reaction was to open up a new tab and check Facebook and hit mute while the ad played for 30 seconds. And I just realized, oh, this brand is completely wasting their money trying to reach me. They may as well have thrown that money out the window because I didn't watch their ad and didn't even have the volume on. And so, today Jebbit makes this amazing content that helps a marketer learn more about their customer. And so most of the questions are about you, the consumer. But back then it was, a question to verify you paid attention. So the original vision that we won the business plan competition with in college was, you're watching a Hulu show and a car commercial comes up and we ask you how many miles per gallon are in that car, and you type in the answer, and if you get it right, you get paid, 50 cents into your account. But, we were college kids, so we were like, hey, if we can prove you make $10 an hour doing this, we bet millions of people will do it. And we actually were able to prove you could make more than $10 an hour. But the key was we would only charge the brands for correct answers, and we would charge them a premium. We never actually launched that integrated with companies like Hulu because we were a bunch of college kids and we had no idea how to integrate with an ad server and make partnerships with the Hulus of the world. But we did launch our own website, Jebbit.com. And it was only for college students. You had to have a .edu to register. And on our site, we would show you brands and you could engage with them and you could earn money. And students actually earned at a rate of $19 an hour. And we built it up to, we had students from over 4,000 colleges around the country using it. It was just US based. And, I think we had like 100,000 users at our peak, something like that. And that's actually the business I raised the first $1.5 million on, was running that. And then my co-founders and I quickly realized that it was very incentivized marketing. There were two big problems, but the biggest one was it was incentivized marketing. We knew, like deep down, even though we could show amazing metrics to the brands of time of engagement and questions answered and all that, we knew that the students were really only there to get their beer money for the weekend. And we knew we weren't forming genuine connections and relationships between the brands and the consumers. So that was the first big problem. And that didn't sit right with us. We didn't ever feel like we'd build, the biggest company we could build. If that was the case, if it doesn't feel right in our hearts, then like, how can we go dedicate a decade of our life to this and build this? And then the second big problem was more of a tactical one, but it was our marketing team. We were building a marketplace, so we had to get the brands and the consumers. Yeah. And as a 10-person company with a 2-person marketing team, like that was just a big challenge. And so, I went to a board meeting at the end of 2013, and I told our brand new investors that had just given us money, we don't think this business is going to scale for these two reasons, and we need to pivot to something different. And my investors listened very patiently, and after I finished my 10 or 15 minute spiel, they said, okay, what are you proposing we build? And I was a bit naive at the time, and I remember saying, I haven't figured that out yet. I'm just giving you all the problems of the current business that you just gave $1.5 million to. And thankfully those investors, who I'm still very grateful for to this day, they said what any good seed stage investor should say, and it's the truth, which is we didn't invest in you guys because of this specific product. We invested in you guys because of the team. And so if you don't think that this is the right product, then great, let's pivot it and let's go figure something else out. But one caveat, we're not going to just go hire 20 more people like we had planned this year. We were planning to go from about 10 to 30 people that year. And they said, let's pause all hiring until you figure out the new product. And we kind of worked out some numbers of, once you hit X milestone in revenue, you can hire 3 people. And once you hit Y milestone, you can hire 5 and 10, etc. And I remember looking at that first number and thinking, we'll hit that in 3 months. So no big deal at all. We're basically doing a 3-month pause of hiring. Easy. Let's go figure out the new product. And it took us close to 3 years. I think it was about 2.5 years to hit that first revenue milestone. So that entered a really, dark 2.5 year period of having no idea what we were going to build and what we were going to be, and trying and failing lots of things until eventually, it was probably around late 2015, early 2016, we really started to get the early traction with what we're doing today.
This is super helpful. Thank you for the transparency. Lovely story. Lovely story. What's your best piece of advice for a starting founder?
I think something related to your perspective and your mindset. Like, I think at the end of the day, there were so many times that we could have quit and given up, but the thing, I was doing this with, I think I've said this a couple times, the company was only about 10 people during these years, 4 of which were some of my best friends from college, the other of which were, people I was starting to get really close to because they were putting so much time into this and becoming friends. And, during all the hard times, like, I just kept trying to remind them, like, how lucky are we that, we have millions of dollars and an open blank slate to go build anything we want, like, we could easily look at it as, oh, we're blowing through investor money and we don't have product vision and we're not doing revenue for this 6-month period and all of those things. And it's so easy to get really down, but like, I don't think you're going to come up with great ideas and figure great things out in that like negative down, beating yourself up mindset every day. And so, we really tried to focus on what are the wins we're seeing right now, which at that time were few and far between, but it might be a great coffee meeting we had on a Tuesday with a marketer who gave us a new spark of an idea of what we should try to explore building next. And now we're going to go down this rabbit hole exploring if that's valid. It could be little things like that, or a really cool prototype one of our engineers whipped up or something like that. But I think perspective and gratitude are, or at least for our journey, have been key to getting through those hard times.
I have one last question for you. What's
Sure.
your favorite SaaS product?
Loom.
Loom. Why?
I use it all the time to communicate with our team. I mean, we were using it, I'm pretty sure we were using it pre-pandemic, if I remember. But definitely during the pandemic when we're all remote, like whether it's our, head of product sending me a product mock-up and we'll go back and forth on Loom, or whether it's a message, I'll send Looms to our entire company, I'll send them between our management team. Like, it's just an amazing way to communicate. If you don't know Loom, it's basically you have your face in the bottom corner filming a video, but you can have your screen on camera and it's super easy to use. So, I'll pull up a Salesforce dashboard and talk through what I'm seeing and send it to, our sales team or stuff like that. It's just and then people can comment in it, respond. I'm a big Loom champion.
Is there anything else that you want to tell us today on the podcast?
No, it was great. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm super grateful. You did great. And
Thank
you
you.
for the stories.